And also, I got to take a moment to tweet this out.
It's all about the tweet.
Yeah, so oh, wait a minute. Let me make sure I'm tweeting out the stream and not the Google Hangouts. Otherwise, we will have a problem, a big problem with trolls. Okay, there we go. All right. Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Lincoln Clay, coming back at you with a special edition of the Lincoln Show, the VR edition, with my guest, Gamertag VR. You guys know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the bell icon. The rest will take care of itself. If you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. And I want to welcome my guest, Gamertag VR. If you would be so pleased to introduce yourself to the viewers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me on, Lincoln. People call me GT from Gamertag VR, and I just provide virtual reality content, hang out with communities, and I just believe in virtual reality a lot, and it got me back into gaming, and I just wanted to show my support for the technology. So yeah, that's pretty much my story, man.
Without a doubt, it is a pleasure having you here, and it is definitely a pleasure having a guest who shares my same passion for VR. I mean, it's my passion for VR has gotten stronger each day. It's gotten to the point where I almost don't play any flat screen games. So I think I said it before, a YouTuber, VR365, his name is Anthony. He said it best. He said he wants to live in the game. He wants to breathe in the game. So with that being said, I'll ask you that question first. Since becoming passionate about VR, whether it's on Oculus or the PlayStation VR, how much flat screen gaming do you do these days? I'm sorry.
Flat screen. To be honest, hardly any. And my son, he's still big on. He's got his Switch and his PlayStation. Man, he loves flat screen gaming, Smash Brothers and stuff. And I used to play Fortnite like everyone else. Got into a bit of Apex Legends recently. Resident Evil 2 was a fantastic remake. But dude, my flat game is dead pretty much. And there's only special games that I see now and again that really make me want to jump in, and one of them is coming out I think next week, and that's Days Gone. I'm sure you know about that one.
Yeah, definitely. That is definitely a day one purchase for me, and that might be. Let's see, we got I've got MLP the show, and I'm definitely going to purchase Days Gone. The other remaining heavy hitters with the PlayStation exclusives, the Death Stranding, Last of Us 2. And Ghost of Tsushima, everybody is speculating that those could be PS5 games. Whenever they come out, they're definitely day one purchases for me. I think other than that, as far as games that are flat screen games, only other ones I'm looking at would be Concrete Genie and Dreams, which are both supported by VR.
Yeah, Concrete Genie, yeah, for sure.
So I prepared a list of questions for you. Most of them are VR questions. There's a couple of non-VR questions in there, but it's still related to the gaming industry. So let me get started with the first question, and that is that the Labo VR sold out on Amazon the week of its release. Do you think it will gain even more momentum when the Mario and the Breath of the Wild updates come out?
I do absolutely believe it will get more publicity as well. I think Nintendo will push out more trailers. And as an owner of Labo VR, I think I've done like 3 videos on it. One was an unboxing, one was just talking. It was quite hard. I was really trying to figure out how to capture footage while using it. But obviously, when you take the Switch and put it into the cardboard headset, it wants you to undock it. And if you're undocked, then I can't. If you've ever used OBS or anything, I'm sure you have. You can't use a capture card. So it was a nightmare for me because basically I ended up just recording flat game footage, like as if, and that's the same as when you watch someone play virtual reality games. It looks flat, but I wanted to try and capture a little bit more special. But do you know what? It was weird when I got the Labo VR. I thought this is good. It's a little bit better than I expected. I think it's the best cardboard VR you're going to experience for the price, and for the content that come with it was incredible. And then my daughter got hold of it, and she, the way she reacted to it, I thought, man, Nintendo are on a winner. Like for kids, I think that age is 7. I think it's a 7-year-old. Because I think on PSVR it's 12. They recommend as an age rating. And so Nintendo have said it's 7. So dude. I think it's going to be. I think it's amazing. I think with Mario, I think Mario's an experience or like certain levels. I don't think it's the whole game. But Zelda Breath of the Wild being the whole game in virtuality, that alone, that tag alone, putting any video up or any picture that says Zelda in VR, people are going to go crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, with that being said, you said you've experienced the Labo VR. For it being like maybe using the word a handheld VR, with it only costing $40 for the starter kit, how immersive would you say it is?
Is it as immersive as the problem is, right? And you haven't got 6 degrees of movement, or even I don't think you've even got 4. I think you've got 3 degrees of movement. So you can't be tracked. Nothing can be tracked really, apart from where you move your head. But so that was the one thing for me. I thought maybe this is going to hold this back a lot, because the WoW days of Google Cardboard were what 3-4 years ago, and so, but the difference is now you've got Nintendo behind it, and the Nintendo software. The games are brilliant. They're Nintendo games. Do you know what I mean? They're not trash VR anything games. They're high quality. And yeah, dude, like I had the blaster on my face, and me and my daughter were like taking turns. And dude, we blasted like an hour. You know what virtuality is like, man? You step in virtuality and an hour's gone. Like it just flashes by, and it was the same thing. So yeah, I would actually say it is just as immersive, and I would still say that some of the experience are more for the younger, but that's Nintendo for me anyway. When I had children, I loved Nintendo for that because my son would have either grown up with Call of Duty, shooting, killing, violence, but then you got Nintendo, and Nintendo always have that special way of bringing games across. So combine that with Labo VR, I think it's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant cheap doorway into virtuality.
I totally agree. How about draw distance? Does it have great draw distance where things that are in the background actually look like they're at a distance, or does it still have a little bit of a flat screen game look to it?
I would say it looks a good depth, but obviously because it is a cardboard headset, the resolution is low. You're looking. I think when you have it docked, it hits 1080p the Switch. When you undock it, it goes down to something like 920 or 720p, and then you've got to halve that image again. So, that is the one thing that I know a lot of people have already sort of said, oh, it's too blurry. It's not too blurry, dude. It's not. It's fine. It looks good. And, yeah, the games, as I said before, when you're using Blaster, that's like you're in a robot tank and you're going down different alleyways, shooting different objects. And like you slow down time by flipping this switch on the side of the gun, which is a really cool mechanic. And my daughter thought the game was brilliant. And when she found out you could slow down time, she was amazed. And yeah, it's good, dude. I mean, for the money, I think it's incredible. And it's no wonder I'm not surprised it's sold out. I'm very pleased it's done so well. Over here, I checked. I mean, over in the UK, it seems to be doing fine. There's still stocks. I think I looked on Amazon. It said there was 5 in stock, and somewhere else there was in stock. So for it to sell out over in America is incredible.
Okay, yeah. If I don't, I know that it's sold out on Amazon, and I don't know about the other retailers. But I do feel like whatever pace that the Nintendo Labo VR is on right now, I expect the pace to pick up quite a bit once we get those Mario and those Breath of the Wild updates. And I also spoke about the potential of the Labo VR if they were to bring it to the Pokemon game.
Yeah, that's true, man. Like, look at, yeah, because you could use that anywhere, couldn't you? You could use the Switch anywhere. So yeah, man. Yeah, definitely. Mobile Pokemon. Yeah, everyone loves Pokemon Go.
Without a doubt, and I think that could have a huge impact on the industry as a whole.
Yeah, true, man. True. Also, I just want to take a chance to say congratulations on your subscriber count hitting 500, man. That is brilliant.
Without a doubt, I definitely appreciate it. I've got a lot of help from a lot of YouTube friends, and the channel has far exceeded my expectations. As I'm not looking to monetize my channel or anything like that. I just want to interact with the subs. I just want to have great conversation with them. And so with that being said, I am extremely happy with the progress of my channel. So
congratulations. Congratulations, man. That's cool.
I appreciate it. Thanks. So moving on to the next question, we know that the Oculus Quest is coming up, and because of its portability, being able to bring you a PC-like experience without the PC, without the cords, and you're able to take it wherever you can go. So with that being said, I want to bring up that the PlayStation VR has sold 4.2 million units in the 2.5 years of its existence. Do you think that the Oculus Quest can surpass that in the same time frame?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, if I could put money on any other headset currently getting close to that number in that space of time, it obviously would be the Quest, because if you get one and I get one, and it's going to be the one thing, and I'm sure you spoke about this before, is the one thing that holds virtual reality back is you have to try it. You have to experience it. And the amount of times I've spoken to people about using a game or playing a game, and they say to me, bring it round, man. And I'm like, well, I can't bring my whole PC round. It can't happen. So with the Quest, dude, I'm so excited for that. And I think that in the Quest is for that mass adoptability, and from what I've been told, because I've only actually tried it on once, and the game at the time, the controllers didn't work with the Quest that they had, and I'm booked in to hopefully go and do an experience soon. I think it's going to be massive. I do. I really think it's going to be massive. I think the price is on point. I think it's a really good price considering you don't need a PC. That's $50 in your money above a PlayStation Pro. Brand new. I think well, over here they're £350. I don't know how much a PlayStation Pro is over in the States.
I don't know if the permanent price of the PlayStation dropped yet. I don't know if it's dropped to a permanent $350 or not, because the PlayStation platform is doing extremely well in North America, and nobody is competing against them, so they're not in a position to have to lower their prices yet. Last I've known, their roadmap was to eventually phase out the PS4 Slim, and then the PS4 Pro will become the base model in preparation for the PS5. But that's something I'll have to look into and see what the price is of the PlayStation Pro. Truth be told, I try to stay away from that because I have a PlayStation Pro.
Yeah.
And every time I see like a Spider-Man edition or a God of War edition PS4 Pro, it makes me want to get rid of mine and get one of them, especially that translucent PS4 Pro. For the half, what was it for the
500 million?
Yeah, I wanted one of those bad. I would still, even if we're moving into the next generation, if one of those became available, I would still grab it. I didn't do it at the time that they were available because they were in limited quantity. And not only that, I wasn't ready to separate with the $500 at the time.
Dude, that console looks absolutely sick. Another YouTuber that I follow, Paradise Decay, he won one in a giveaway on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
I know, man. I was so jelly.
So does he play it, or has he like set it on the shelf as a collector's item?
I reckon so, man. I think he might have done an unboxing, but apart from that, dude, yeah, I think it's more of a trophy item, which I understand. I mean, if you ordered a PlayStation Pro and it's sitting there and it's gathering dust, I mean, I don't know about you, but my PlayStation Pro is starting to sound like a jet taking off sometimes. I'd imagine I would keep that one in the box until I needed it. But I'd probably use the controllers, because the controllers that come with it are the same, aren't they? They're see-through as well.
I think that translucent PS4 Pro came with a translucent controller, which last time I knew that even if you couldn't get the console, you could still get the translucent controller.
Yeah, I nearly had the opportunity to buy one, and I should have, and I didn't. Same as you, man. Like, I've got to count my pennies, and I saw it in the shop. I regret it now. I should have bought it, but I didn't.
Exactly. And while we're on the subject of the PlayStation, given what we know about the PS5 and the PSVR 2, how do you think it'll stack up against the other VR headsets? Will it be a low end headset compared to the other ones, a mid range headset, or you think it'll be a higher end headset, against the other ones that we know are coming out?
Did you say the PSVR 2?
Yes. I think some of the things that we do know about it, I think it was rumored that it was going to the resolution was going to be 1440p, along with some other things.
Do you know what, man? Like the bit of research I've done on this, and I'm not very into the tech. I do follow it a little bit, but I'm not massively obsessed with that sort of stuff. I used to be, and it's quite consuming. But I was more of the opinion that actually, when we go into PS5, PSVR will be a big thing again because they're supporting that with PS5, which means the possibility of, for example, a different tracking bar for the PSVR currently headset, maybe new controllers. I'm not sure if they're going to rush out and bring a second headset out straight away because, I mean, you've got mass adoption already. 4.2 million people own a PSVR. Do they really want to get rid of that? Because as you know, the refresh rate of the headset is fantastic already, 90 to 120 hertz.
Yeah.
It's bloody comfortable, and that's why Rift S, Lenovo have got that patent from Sony for the Rift S, which is a PlayStation patent. So that's why the Rift S is so similar. So PlayStation are onto a winner there as well. And we haven't got loads of sensors around. Admittedly, a lot of people will tell you that the tracking on PlayStation is either not good or trash or whatever they want to say. If you get the setup right, it's good. But I remember seeing a patent for like a new sensor bar that would be coming up. I don't know if you ever saw that patent, Lincoln. Did you see that?
I saw some of the patents. I know that they talked about, having multiple cameras in the headset. I've seen some of the patents for, for some new move controllers with thumbsticks that are pressure sensitive and that kind of stuff. So as far as this sensor bar that you're talking about, no, I'm not exactly aware of that.
Yeah, there was another tracking bar that they've done a patent for, and I know people will say patents don't mean anything. Patents are put through so much by companies all the time, and I get that. But I don't know whether I'd be happy with new move controllers, maybe a new tracking system for the headset, and carry on with PS5. Because like when you see, I mean, obviously, I've got a Rift, and I know the resolution of the Quest is really high. The Rift S is a little bit lower, but that's still higher than what we have currently. When you play a game like Astrobot, it looks fine. It looks perfect. It looks crisp. It looks colourful. It looks vibrant. The field of view is pretty good. So I'm not sure, man. I'm not sure if PSVR 2, I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't know if it's going to happen straight away, especially around launch. I'm not sure. I think they're more likely to bring out new controllers as number one, and then carry on with using that newer hardware to maybe boost the resolution of the games we have now.
Without a doubt, and that's one of the things that I was wondering about when we go into the next generation, being that we'll be able to keep this VR headset and use it on the PS5. One of the things that I was concerned about was blurriness. Some of these games on the current PSVR headset are extremely blurry. And I always use Drive Club as an example. The background on Drive Club is one of the blurriest that I've ever seen. And with me being a racing fanatic, it is imperative that I need to see the background because I need to see the corners coming before I get there. And that's what we got with Drive Club. I can't see the corners until we actually get there because of how blurry it is. So I'm hoping that issue will be resolved once we move up to the beefier hardware.
But, and I know what you're saying, I do know what you're saying, but when you play Gran Turismo or Wipeout, that seems to me it's more about optimization and where your power is being put, the team behind it, the finances. Drive Club, I think the studio itself has gone. There's no one backing it. I think Drive Club is now owned by Sony, and Sony have basically washed their hands of it now. But when you see a game like Wipeout, which is, I know it's not a driving game, but it is a futuristic and it is a racing game. It looks fantastic. It plays fantastic. You chuck in new hardware with that. I think I think what PlayStation have done have basically future-proofed your headset that you have now, right now. You know, all the more reason to go and buy a PS5 in a way, because you already know that you've got VR from day one. It's quite clever.
It is, and then when you spoke of Lenovo, we do know that Sony did license Lenovo the design of the PSVR 2 headset, and it's already, already started to show its face with the Oculus Rift S, because we've seen how the Oculus Rift has a headband similar to the PlayStation VR. With that being said, do you think it's possible that Sony could outsource production of the PSVR 2 to Lenovo and have Lenovo manufacture the headset for them to reduce costs?
Dude, I'm really sorry. I lost you there completely.
Okay, you know how
I got you. You said outsource. You said I got to outsource.
Do you think it's possible that Sony would have Lenovo manufacture the next headset for them in order to reduce costs, being that they already have a license to produce a headset?
I can't answer that, man. I'm sorry. I wouldn't know. All I know is everyone was quite surprised about Lenovo doing the Rift S having something to do with it. And when I heard the pattern was from Sony, it made sense, because the one thing I've always heard is about the PSVR is great for people who want to wear glasses for comfortability. I mean, I like my Rift. I actually think it's really comfortable. I mean, you get your hair looks a bit better with PSVR. Rift completely messes my hair up. But I just think that I think the PSVR is an incredible headset, and I'm not sure about who would be making the next one. It's so far away. I personally, and this is one of the things I always said before, would PlayStation be willing to release a new console and a new headset at the same time?
That is my hope. But if they do not do that, it is still comforting to know that the current PSVR headset is compatible with the PS5. But my hope is that, more than anything, I hope they give us a VR experiences more sooner than later, AAA VR experiences. So were you aware of the Sony Liverpool that, were defunct a couple of years ago? And they had a lot of them have reformed for a studio called Firespread. Now, according to a YouTuber named GameCross, he says that studio is working on a Sony exclusive that is globally recognized and a multi-million seller to have this game done in VR. And he is speculating that it could be Horizon Zero Dawn. Have you heard anything about that?
Not at all, but I'm very interested in listening and finding any information on what you're saying, because it sounds incredible.
Yeah, I saw this video a few days ago, and I guess they are hiring for like a 3D engineer, and the job specifically states that they are working on a globally recognized Sony exclusive, this multi-million seller, to basically make this game into VR. And I guess it is a action role-playing game, and that's what led him to believe that it would possibly be Horizon Zero Dawn. So with that being said,
did you say Firesprite?
Yes, they're called Firespread.
Oh, the people who made the Persistence.
Yeah, I believe they used to be Sony Liverpool, but they they shut down a couple of years ago. So a few members from that studio is now part of this Firespread. And yes, I did pick up the Persistence. I got started on it. I'll have to come back around to it, once I get done with when I eventually get done with Lone Echo. But there's so many VR games to play, I'm bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, man, the Persistence is a fantastic game.
Yes, it's definitely. It looks great too. Also, so given that it's possible that we might get Horizon Zero Dawn fully playable in VR, do you think it's possible for that to happen with games like God of War or Spider-Man?
What, a VR? Well, we've already had a Spider-Man VR, haven't we? And I personally was very disappointed with that. I'm not sure. I mean, I think Oculus have got a Spider-Man experience coming. I think it was in VR, but I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, Sony seem to pioneer some of the best VR exclusive games. You know, I know Oculus Studios really push, and now being on Oculus, I now see some of this, some of their content, and it is incredible. But PlayStation really do some amazing stuff for VR. So, man, look, I mean, Iron Man's coming to PlayStation VR. So, you know, I mean, that's big. You know, I mean, they come out the gate with that for their digital, their first digital show. So, yeah, man, anything's possible.
Yeah, without a doubt. And let me give a shout out to that guy as Will VR. How's it going, my man? Glad you could join us.
What you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Willis? I love that guy as well. He's a good friend of mine, man. He's a good friend of mine.
You know, the Iron Man VR, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And actually, the release of that trailer actually saved me some money, because I was seriously debating about whether to pick up that Marvel game. I think Marvel's Powers United or whatever on Oculus. I was curious about playing that game, but when I read some of the reviews on that game, one of the things that they said that it was really repetitive without a real campaign. So with that being said, the trailer, the Iron Man trailer, that pretty much let me know, save my money until then, because I'm definitely going to pick up that Iron Man VR. What about some other releases that's coming out this year as well as Iron Man? How forward are you looking forward to with those, like with the No Man's Sky release, the Five Nights at Freddy's and VR, and Iron Man that I spoke of? How and I think on the Oculus side, I think we're supposed to get Lone Echo 2 this year. So I think 2019 is looking pretty good as far as VR goes. It could be VR's best year potentially. So what do you think about, are you looking forward to all those games that I mentioned?
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to all of them. I mean, 2018 for me personally, as a content provider and a content user, was absolutely incredible. And the one thing that I think, when you are a content provider and you're chasing titles, put on the channel and stuff, like games just appear out of nowhere sometimes, and they're absolutely fantastic. It could be only maybe a month before release, and this game is like, a trailer comes out and you think, dude, what the hell is this? Like, where did this come from? Why has no one mentioned this before? And it turns out to be one of the best games you've played in VR. I mean, I don't remember because the Persistence, there was a demo of the Persistence, to go back to that, and it was a good game. I really enjoyed it. But when the game came out, dude, it was so different. And it was so much better as well. And it was so different. And, it took a lot of people by surprise. 2018 ended on a massive high for me. And, I felt really privileged to have started a channel and to have been part of VR, to witness all this. Because at the end of the day, we are, at the moment, the beginners. We're the first people, we are the ones that are going from the NES to the SNES days of virtual reality. Do you know what I mean? We are supporting this technology. People know there's going to be people in 10 years, whatever, and we're going to be a bit old and a bit tired, and they're going to be like, well, what is that game? I've never even heard of it. They're going to see it and look at it like a NES game and think, you had to what? You had to get a rudder on the floor and use your feet? What are you talking about? They're not going to believe some of the stuff we probably have to do. So, as PlayStation games go, I'm very excited for Blood and Truth. I have played that already. I was disappointed by the movement system, and at the time the graphics weren't that great either. I mean, it was, you're talking about the blur of the older games, that had that, and I was very surprised, and I was a bit let down by it. The action was cool, but I mean, I've seen some more of it. I'm sure the studio are hard at work on it, and it's going to be fantastic. Then you got Dreams. Obviously, we got the VR part of Dreams. Personally, I'm not going to be a creator on Dreams. I definitely won't have the time. As you know, being a content creator yourself, time is hard. And man, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing what people make. Everybody's Golf VR, another one I'm really excited for. Five Nights at Freddy's, another one that I might actually play on PC VR, or I might just hold back and wait to play it on PlayStation VR. Gollum, very excited. When we're talking about Iron Man VR, I wasn't that thrilled about it. I mean, it looked good, but I was a bit dubious. I held in my excitement because I was a bit like, I don't know, man.
Oh, I can tell you, I did a
Oh, sorry, Dave, what's that?
Said I did a backflip when I saw that Iron Man trailer because once it became obvious it was some kind of Iron Man game, I'm thinking, okay, Sony's really doing it. They're giving us something to fill our superhero appetite. After Spider-Man, the big hit that Spider-Man was. That's what I thought at first, but when I saw that Iron Man VR, oh my God, I nearly went through the roof.
So I think Spider-Man made me hide my emotions. Do you know what I mean? Because I was a bit like, this does look like an on the rails shooter, but Camouflage have basically come out and said no, this is going to be. And also I think Upload VR and a couple of other reputable online websites have played it, and it sounds like it's going to be the real deal, man. So yes, now I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited about it. And then you spoke about the generations that's going to be coming up behind us and how they're going to look at the stuff that we're playing today. Like, it's like, you guys really played that? Like this is going to be dinosaur stuff. But me, myself, I feel fortunate to be able to play VR because I'm no spring chicken. I'll be 52 in a couple of weeks. And, I'm at an age now where anything can happen.
Dude, and you don't sound a day over 25, man.
Well, thank you. I mean, some days I feel young, some days I feel old. I guess it all depends on how you feel once you get up out of bed. And it does help that that I take care of myself, but I still feel very fortunate that I'm able to experience VR. I've told people that in an earlier podcast. My father is his health is declining. He's 71. He'll be 72 here this year, and he is a huge Star Trek fan. He's probably the biggest Star Trek fan that I know, who won't go as far as to put on the costumes and stuff. So I would have loved for him to be able to experience Star Trek Bridge Crew in VR. Because I know in my heart that if he would have been my same age and he would have had a chance to experience Star Trek Bridge Crew in VR, he would have went out and bought everything. He would have went out and bought a PlayStation or a PC, whatever headset he would have needed, and he probably would have been on it every single day. So I mean, so I really, really wished he could have experienced that. But with that being said, I'm so fortunate, at my age to be able to experience VR. It is such a joy. It is my passion. It is an escape.
Yeah, man. Like Star Trek for me. Like, I grew up with Star Trek in the 80s. I still remember watching the original. And I think the biggest one for me was Next Generation. I sort of grew up watching that with my dad. And that's still my favorite. So when Bridge Crew come out, I wasn't a content provider then. I played it every night for about 2 to 3 hours every night. I thought it was the most incredible thing I'd ever done. Because one, I'm a team leader in real life, so I like leading. I'm a trained team leader, actually. I like leading, and I like dealing with scenarios and situations. But more importantly, I like working as a team. And that there's not many VR games that give you that. You can compete against others in many games, but to work together to achieve a goal, a common goal, I think is fantastic. And Bridge Crew does that, and I love it for that.
And not only that, I would love it for them to take Bridge Crew to the next generation, to the next level, and allow you to compete against live people. Like, well, how cool would that be if you could, be Romulans or something going up against Federation ships, and these are all live people. You're still performing your same duties on the ship, but you're going up against, against live competition in other ships. I would love to see that.
Yeah, man. I'm waiting to have a cloak button. I want a cloak. I want to cloak my ship, and then I want to target someone.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
In a player versus player match, that would be so cool. And naturally, if they were to do something like that, they would be able to come up with something to be able to counter the cloaking device, because that is that's almost an unfair advantage that the Klingons have with cloaking devices. But I do believe that they have to get extremely close in order to stay out of the radar, something like that. I can't remember quite how that works, but that would be so cool.
Yeah, man, it'd be fantastic. And do you know what? I think, as we were talking earlier, going back to mass adoption, I mean, you can tell that VR is going places because companies are investing in it. Like, you know, when we talk about the headsets that are coming out from, you know, HTC, HP, Pimax, Valve, Acer, you know, there's a reason these companies are putting something out there to give you content. It's because they believe in the technology and they can see the potential. You know, it's just a case of everything people want to happen in gaming. I think VR will give you that eventually.
No question. And I think before I move on to the next question, I absolutely believe that even if VR does not make it to the mainstream, it is never going to die, because VR is always that technology that's on display at these electronic shows. You know, whether it's augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, at these electronic shows, VR is always on the stage. They are always showing people just how much VR has advanced. Just that alone, VR will never die.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm like you, man. I want to fight to keep it going. You know, I want to push it all the time, as much as possible, all the time.
Mm-hmm. You know, let's see here. You know, I was going to ask you a question, but it's kind of an unfair question about the upcoming headsets that are supposed to release this year and how you think they might impact the industry. But that's kind of an unfair question because we have very little information about those other headsets. So
I think we can go over some of them. You know, I mean, I think we can go over a few because I've been interested in Oculus quite a lot because I've got the Rift. I'm interested in new tech that way. I think, like most people, I think with my Pocket, I think to myself, you know, where should I go? And because I'm on PlayStation, I will, you know, unless they drop to VR, I will stick with PlayStation because of the amazing experience that they've given me. Oculus is the same. You know, I've had some jaw-dropping experiences with that. I would stay with them as well. And because of the Quest, I believe in their vision. I really do think that they haven't sat on the technology. They've pushed it. I mean, it's very brave to bring out two headsets potentially at the same time. That's what it looks like. They're going to bring out the Rift S, which is kind of like what the PlayStation Pro did. They're saying it's a mid-gen refresh, you know. But the Quest at the same time, to me, that's them just putting all the chips in and going, this, you know, we're just going to push this out there. If you want it, you can have it. And I think that's great. I think that's really good. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy to talk about some of them if you want to.
Sure. You know, like we know that the Labo VR is going to make a splash. We know that the Oculus Quest is going to make a splash. And we know that I think the PSVR 2, I think that's going to do well just on customer loyalty. So out of the remaining headsets that I wanted to talk about, like the HTC Vive Cosmos, the HP for Preverb, and the Valve Index, and even the Pimax, which one of those remaining headsets do you think will have the most success?
So we've got, you said the HP Preverb. I don't know much about that. The Pimax, as far as I know, there's been like 6 or 7 reiterations of that headset. I don't know much about that. I know they're really pushing for the highest resolution and the widest field of view, and they're very expensive as far as I know. So that's me personally, man. Being just a human being with a normal job, I tend not to look too far ahead of what I can afford because I've got a family. Do you know what I mean? So I tend to look at stuff within my price range. Out of all of them, I am interested in the HTC Vive, but they tend to be more expensive side. But it'd be the Valve Index. Index for me is the one that I'm sort of looking at because, you know, I just think some great stuff can happen that way, and I've got no idea what that great big space in the middle of that headset is for. I don't think anyone knows yet.
Yeah, definitely. You know, the Valve Index is probably the headset that I might have my eye on out of all those headsets that we mentioned. You know, I'm hearing that there's supposed to be, you know, a resolution of 21p, 2160p. So that's my biggest thing is that whatever headset I get, the background has to be clear. That's my biggest reason for wanting another headset. Now, don't get me wrong. Now that I've got the Alienware computer, which performs better than the CyberPower that I had, the background is not blurry. But you know, the edges are soft, but I can make out what's in the background. So it's not blurry. So with that being said, you know, I think out of those other headsets that I mentioned, I think the Valve might have the best chance to be successful, especially being that it's supposed to be basically Steam's VR headset.
Exactly, dude. I mean, I've been using. I was on Steam years ago. You know, when I first bought my PC, it was all about buying Half-Life 2. You know, and they, you know, in Steam VR, and the fact that the Knuckles are like the official controllers, the Valve Index controllers, and anyone who's seen Boneworks and stuff, like these controllers look incredible. I've had some people who say when you know if they've got smaller hands, and it's hard to know how big hands should be. But you know, they're saying their hands were a little bit smaller than average. They were a bit of a struggle with the controllers. So I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to work. But man, that is apart from the Oculus Quest, the Rift S. This is the other thing that I tend to I tend to be interested in. I think they're saying that's what I mean. All this stuff happens so fast. June the 15th, there's another headset is entering the market, and you're like, wow. You know what I mean? I've gone from my little PlayStation VR bubble to seeing that virtual reality is just spreading and growing massively.
No question about that. You know, the Oculus Quest, you know, not the Oculus Quest, the Oculus Rift, not so much the headset itself, but having a reason to go over to the Steam store, you know, opened a whole new world for me because there's trillions of VR games over at the Steam store. And so between the PlayStation VR and the Oculus Rift, I have what I'm looking for. You know, I have multiplayer VR games over on the Rift, and I have the single player games over on the PSVR, which I would like to see them get more multiplayer games. With that being said, I'm seriously hoping that Everybody's Golf is a multiplayer game. You know, is an online multiplayer game. If that be the case, I saw it on the PlayStation Store. It said, you know, one player. But there's a couple of VR groups that I'm in on Facebook, and someone on there said that the latest trailer claims that it's supposed to be multiplayer. So if that be the case, Everybody's Golf is going to be a day one purchase for me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I haven't actually followed much news on Everybody's Golf. I mean, the only thing was the other day I was doing a stream and people were just chatting like they do in a chat, and they were saying that there's only 3 courses, but of those 3 courses, there's 18 holes. So, I mean, that sounds pretty good to me, but they didn't seem very happy about that. That sounded like quite a bit of content. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'd love to play anything in VR better. Anything in VR is better shared. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll have to look into that myself, man. But, I mean, for me, regardless, unless they said there was one hole and, you know, it was 5 minutes of content, I'm there. I'm getting Everybody's Golf because I love the idea of playing golf in VR.
No question. It puts you in a virtual environment without having to step out of the house. You know, especially where I live, where winters are awful. You know, so
right.
Definitely. One of the, you know, I've got about maybe 4 questions left for you. One of them, you know, I mean, you sort of answered the question, but I can go ahead and ask that question again. And it's like, with all the headsets that are coming out this year, as well as some of the games that are highly anticipated coming out this year, do you think that, you know, VR has a chance to crack into the mainstream? Myself, I would like to see a situation where, you know, take the PlayStation, for instance. In a perfect world, I would like to see 1 out of every 3 console owners have a VR headset. You know, I don't know if we'll reach those numbers, but given headsets that are coming out this year, along with the games that are coming out this year, do you think VR has a chance to make it over to the mainstream?
More than ever, dude. More than ever. And I'll tell you why I think, and it's the same thing again, not everyone has a massively powerful PC, but a lot of people, 90 million people had a PlayStation. So that helped, you know, and that's why it's leading in sale figures. Then you got the Quest. So once again, it's a standalone gaming headset, VR headset. I think this is another chance, another big chance that PlayStation has already, you know, smashed it out of the park. I think Oculus can now also have a go at smashing it out of the park. And as you know, as a Rift owner, some of the Oculus Studio exclusives are amazing. So combine that with the Quest, dude. You know, and also, I mean, looking at YouTube content and Twitch, and you know, people are doing it. I mean, maybe some people are doing it for money or whatever. Money is a big deal to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, the people who are out there making good content because they want to make good content, they're getting massive views, and it shows every time that someone puts a video out and it hits 100,000 views or more than that. There is interest, there is big interest. And that's why, like early today, I put out a tweet because I had another message about someone asking me how I streamed. And that is a video I should make, is how I do the videos I do. But if you've got a PlayStation, there's nothing but click the share button. That's it. That's PlayStation, once again, have led the way of letting you advertise for them. And all you got to do is on your controller, it says share, bang. You go YouTube, bang. Write the title in. You can add tags, always add tags. Anyone who streams, always add tags, because that's how people find what you're doing. And you're off. It's ingenious. It's amazing what PlayStation have done. So yeah, man, I think 2019 going into 2020, these are the big steps. These are the big steps that are coming up.
No question, and you're absolutely right about Sony making the VR format a plug and play type of format. All you need is the console, plug it in, and you're gone. And I absolutely love that about the streaming aspect, as you said, just click a button and you're off. I absolutely love that too. One question that I did wanted to slip in that wasn't not scripted. I did wanted to ask you, what do you think is the best looking VR game you've ever seen so far?
Oh man. Let me think. And I'm going to say the first one that comes to my head, and that was Lone Echo. But I could also say one on PlayStation as well, back in the day. So it would have been Batman on the PlayStation for me. That was like a real wow. I couldn't believe, because obviously I'd gone from Google Cardboard to going to a convention in London to playing PlayStation VR, and I tried Riggs, Battlezone, and then I remember playing Batman and being Batman and like reacting, because that was an exclusive, I think, on PlayStation for a while. Being able to be Batman, tense your muscles and mess around, and I still love that game. I absolutely love. I have to stop myself wanting to stream it every now and again because I absolutely loved Batman. And people would look at it now and go, "Oh, it's just point and click and all this stuff." I thought that was incredible. Being able to look down over onto the streets of Gotham blew my mind. Like I couldn't believe it. I remember I took like 3 or 4 days off to play PlayStation when I first get, and I remember taking it off, and I was like, "This is absolutely incredible. This is everything I've been waiting for in gaming." When I was a kid, I used to be excited about. I've had so many consoles, and I've been so excited about gaming, but it was getting a bit stale for me. I was getting a bit. And was it bored? Probably less excited. Only the big games really excited me. But when I played VR, it was like being back to when Super Mario come out, or the new Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It was that excitement, and that's why I latched onto VR as much as I did. I wish I would have started streaming sooner, really, because I was so happy and excited. But I would say for me it was Batman, and then I would say on the Oculus, Lone Echo. Like I couldn't believe that, and that's the power of a PC. And a lot of people don't know that, or because they don't want to spend that sort of money. And I don't, dude, like £2,000 or whatever it is I've spent. It's a lot of money. You don't have to spend that much. A lot of Oculus and other companies now are trying to do more optimization to get more out of VR with less hardware needs. That's the idea now, to make it cheaper. For people, because they want more people to adopt it. When it first came out on Vive, I think the Vive headset was £500-600, and then you're thinking, I need a PC as well to run it, and then you're looking at another £1,000, and then you've got PlayStation VR sitting there. I've already got a PlayStation anyway. Chances are, it's another £300. I've got a headset and I'm in VR, so that's why that has worked. But Lone Echo, dude, hands down. You got me all excited. Sorry, Lone Echo for me was like looking at. Yeah, man, it was just like looking. There's not many VR games that look next gen. When you play a next gen game, like when we're going to play Days Gone, it's going to look fantastic. Yeah, there's not many games that look current gen. Sorry, I should have said current gen. That look current gen in VR. There's not many, but Lone Echo does. Lone Echo does look like a current gen game in virtual reality. So yeah.
That is a perfect description of Lone Echo. Without a doubt, I think Lone Echo is the best looking VR game that I have ever seen. But now that I know who developed Lone Echo, it's no surprise that it's such a great looking game because it was developed by Ready at Dawn, the same people who brought you the Order 1886, which on the PlayStation on the PlayStation platform, I thought the Order 1886 was an amazing looking game. Even now with the 4K HDR evolution that we're on right now, I still think that the Order 1886 is still one of the better games out there on the PlayStation format. And I think it still looks better than a number of the Xbox exclusives. And then in talking about where we are, the state of VR right now. I've said this before in some of my podcasts, and I'm still sticking to that belief that I think that if it wasn't for the PlayStation VR might be on life support right now because it was a very expensive habit. At the time that the PlayStation VR came out, the headset cost $500, but you had the Oculus and the Vive that cost $600 and $700 respectively, and that's before you even build a PC. You're looking at least $1,000 to get a PC that can push it. And even with PCs, the older PCs with older specs being a little more powerful, you still have to spend $1,000 in order to push Oculus and Vive. So I dare say that if it wasn't for the PlayStation making VR affordable and making it a plug and play type VR, I think the VR would have been on life support. It would have been damn near dead. So I can honestly say that if it wasn't for the PlayStation VR, I'm not sure if I ever would have got involved with Oculus. Sony definitely saved VR in my eyes.
Do you know, funny enough, I was watching the F Reality podcast today, and Nathy and a few others were talking about it, and he pretty much said something very similar, that PlayStation has carried the can. A lot of times, like when he was saying, like when he goes to certain shows, you can guarantee that PlayStation have gone all in and done a massive show. Like when I went to EGX, there was nothing from Oculus. There was nothing from certain companies. Oculus do like their own Oculus Direct show, or it's GDC or something. But at EGX, PlayStation are there, and PlayStation have a mass VR stand. And I think when I was there was Wipeout right at the front. And as much as people want to play Beat Saber and stuff, when you see Wipeout, so what they had was people playing it, and they're obviously in the headset facing a social screen. They also had another social screen on the outside showing what the people were seeing. And dude, like people walking past, seeing Wipeout in VR on a screen, they're walking past and they double glance. They go, what's that? They can't believe that. And then they look over and they see someone in the virtual reality headset and they go, oh my God, like I've got to queue up to play this. And that's exactly what it needs. It needs demo stations, more demo stations, and it needs, to spread that word, because once you try VR, it just, for me personally, it blew my mind. And it was, I thought, wow, this is the future. This is what I was waiting for all the time, and that's why I think the Quest is important, because you'll be able to just pass around a headset in a room, That is going to be fantastic. Just no wires. You set up your nice grid of safety, the Guardian system, and then you go, there you go, play Super Hot, and then you let your nan have a go on Super Hot or something, like people. I just think the social aspect of VR will be hitting the Quest, and I just think it's so important, and that's why I want to back it to the fullest, because I believe that will take some of the pressure off Sony. I think Oculus run a really good thing. I think with Sony, PlayStation VR, and Oculus Quest, that's why I see them as the two. It's not even out yet, but I personally, if I was going to put my money, I would see them being the front runners very soon.
There's no question about that. And I think, speaking of the Oculus Quest, I think it has the best chance to gain mainstream appeal. But I also think that I think that games like Creed and Beat Saber are definitely going to help bring us to that mainstream that we're looking for, in VR. So I think those are going to be two games that's going to be huge for the growth of VR and VR making it to the mainstream.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Beat Saber, you cannot sleep on Beat Saber. That game is going to go from strength to strength constantly. Because there's still people out there, unbelievably, because we're in our virtual reality community, we're in our little bubble. Like half of my subscriptions on YouTube now are VR YouTubers, and a lot of my communities and chats are VR YouTubers. Yeah, it's very, and so everywhere I look, I'm seeing virtuality. But there's people out there who don't have any of those connections. They don't follow VR YouTubers and they don't see this stuff. Beat Saber is so simple, and it's music, and it's a rhythm game, and it's using lightsabers. It's got everything going for it that pick up and play. It's all there, dude. And I think when it comes to the Quest lineup, I've spoke to some people, and there's a lot of people out there making videos at the moment, because they're frustrated. It gets a lot of clicks making a Quest video. I won't deny that. It really does. But personally, it's because I'm very interested in it and I want people to see what's coming. I don't force people to watch what I do. But a lot of people are saying a lot of the games that are coming out for the Quest have already been done. There's not many new IPs coming to the Quest. And that is true. But the IPs that are coming, and this is what people forget, you're talking in the bubble. You're in your virtual reality bubble. Oh, I've seen Moss. I've seen Beat Saber. I've played Super Hot. Yeah, you have. But what about the next person in the room with you? What about the next person in your local bar, in your local pub, in your local club, wherever you're going to be, in your local game shop? I mean, that's something I intend to do, is to go to my local game shop, and I intend to take my Quest in there and say, do you mind if I let people play this today? Just to show them, just to see what their reactions are.
Oh, I think that would be huge. I think if your local GameStop isn't worried about legal ramifications of like maybe somebody falling and hitting something that matter, I don't think they would have a problem with it, because that's free advertisement for them.
Yeah, man. And that's why I think, because I think, I don't know if everyone knows this, but Oculus Quest won't work with Steam, as far as I know. It will only work with Oculus Store. So, and they're trying to refine the library for the Oculus Quest. There's not going to be the $1.99 games or the titles that you've never particularly heard of. I think you're going to find a lot of the games on there are premium VR games. And there's a reason for that, because this is the first time that you can take VR in your bag and take it anywhere. So they want to make sure that when someone sticks that headset on, what they're seeing is fantastic.
Yeah. And you know what? I forgot to mention something, before I go into the next question. And I cannot believe that I forgot to mention this. Vader Immortal. I absolutely cannot wait for that game. It's going to be on the Oculus Quest and the Oculus Rift. How do you think that game's going to pan out? Do you think that game's going to be a hit, or is that going to be the game that flies under the radar that nobody really knows about?
So the problem there is I love Star Wars. So I'm going to say it's going to be a big hit. Personally, I think it will be. I was a little bit, first of all, they announced it kind of like the Rift and the Quest versions are going to launch together. Since then, they've then made it quite obvious that that's not the case. You're going to get Vader Immortal first on the Quest, and then maybe a little while later, I'm not sure what the time frame is. I imagine it won't be long. It will be available in the Rift as well. But to be able to say Oculus Quest is the only place you can play this particular Star Wars VR game, because we still haven't got a proper Star Wars lightsaber game. And I remember there being one on the Kinect. I think there was a Star Wars game on the Kinect, and I always wanted to get it. And I think I went around my friends and I played it, and it was awful. I didn't get on with it, and it was a real shame. And when I see the Move controllers, they are meant to be a lightsaber, dude. And Beat Saber's proven that. The people I know that play Beat Saber on Oculus and on PlayStation VR always prefer to play it on PlayStation VR because of those controllers.
Okay. Have you tried the X-Wing VR mission that was part of the Star Wars Battlefront add-on on the first Battlefront game?
I reckon I've played that around 40 times.
Oh, yeah, that's because I think that I think that game has an authentic Star Wars feel to it because, like the first time I saw that Imperial Walker walk by, and I saw how tall that thing was, the Star Wars X-wing VR mission. That might have been the first game that showed me just how big they meant for a ship to be. When I saw how big that Star Destroyer was, I said, "Oh my God!" It's like I can only imagine, when games come out where they make dinosaurs, when I can see how big a Tyrannosaurus Rex actually is,
Mm.
all that kind of stuff. It just like that was the game that made me say, "Wow, I can't wait to see, what the future holds for VR."
Dude, that is still at the moment for me, and I've done a couple of videos on the ones that are available on Oculus. They're like experiences. That is still the best Star Wars VR experience, and my daughter, she recently got into it because, I used to put the old Star Wars films on. Bearing in mind, she's just turned 10, or she's going to be 11 soon. Sorry, just in case she ever hears this, you'll get the hump that I've forgotten how old she is. There was she really fell in love with The Force Awakens, and she really wanted to be Rey. And then she sat down in VR and played the Star Wars VR, and she absolutely loved it. Like, it was incredible, and I'm just so grateful that these things, and it was free, dude. Like, I think I picked up Star Wars Battlefront off the PlayStation Store. I think it was £3. I've got it physically as well. I picked that up for like £3 as well physically, just because I wanted the box. But yeah, it was on the PlayStation Store, I think, with the DLC for a ridiculous price of something like £7. It was crazy. And then you got the virtual reality X-Wing experience. Man, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
No question. So like, I've got 4 questions left, and I think the next 2 questions are huge. A couple of years ago, at E3 2016, when Microsoft announced the Xbox One X, they also promised high fidelity VR. That was my biggest reason for even considering getting an Xbox One X, was for the high fidelity VR, especially being that they had a partnership with Oculus. So I figured that, if that would have went through, then you would have had a console that's more powerful than the PlayStation Pro, and you would have had hardware that was better than the PlayStation VR headset. So it's really, they didn't go through with it. My belief is that they didn't follow through with it because of the slow start that Sony had. I think if Sony would have got off to a fast start in VR, then I think Microsoft might have stayed the course and went ahead and stayed with VR. So my question to you is that, Sony has made, over $2 billion on VR alone. And with those kind of earnings, do you think Microsoft will reconsider getting involved in VR, knowing that Sony made that kind of money?
Yeah, man. I mean, exactly everything you just said, to be honest with you. I don't think Xbox, I think they're just sitting back and watching. I think they're just watching to see how it's all going. Maybe the next gen, I don't know. Because, I mean, personally for me, I was Xbox day one for a long time. I think I had an Xbox Live account for 11 to 12 years. And I just started feeling that the same games were there. Like, it was Forza, Gears of War, Halo. If I knew Halo come out, I'd probably be very tempted to get another Xbox anyway. And, when Xbox One come out, I bought that day one. I didn't get the PlayStation. I actually bought the Xbox because I thought the game lineup was much better. I thought Forza. I don't know if Titanfall was a release game. I don't think it was, but I wanted Titanfall. For me, was in the end the ultimate game on the Xbox One for me personally, and I'll never regret owning one for that reason. So yeah, dude, I don't know what Xbox is going to do, and the way the VR market is going. Is there space? I mean, what games are they? I mean, Microsoft Studios. What studios are going to be making VR games for them?
I don't think you know what I think. If Microsoft, given the state of VR games today, there's not a lot of AAA games out there. I mean, let's face it. When it comes to VR, there's a lot of indie games out there. So in terms of the budget, I don't think that would be an issue with Microsoft, being that, especially with these studios that they acquired, these AA studios. So I don't think in Microsoft is moving in that direction of wanting to reduce AA games so they can put them out faster and fill up the Game Pass library. With that being said, I don't think that would I don't think it will require a big budget for those AA studios to produce VR games. And so, with that being said, I'm not a big fan of Microsoft. I don't think they give you value for your money. But if they were to put their hat in the VR ring, I would definitely welcome it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't. You would never want to say no to someone else. I mean, someone like Xbox bringing VR, that'd be massive because people go, oh, fanboys and all that. But there's a lot of people out there who still love Xbox, and they would all adopt into it, and that's fantastic.
You know what? You know what? This console war is pretty much over. But you know, if you've been following the fanboy stuff, you know that a lot of the Xbox are still fighting the war. They still have not they still have not given up. Can you imagine next generation when we get these next gen consoles, the Xbox 2 and the PlayStation 5, and then we get the PlayStation VR 2? What if Microsoft does decide to jump in at the end and come out with their own headset or partner up with somebody to manufacture a headset for them? I think that would take the console war to another level, because now you got the war going on with the consoles, and then you would have a VR war going on between PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah. So what would you say? Do you feel when you put your PlayStation on? Do you feel PlayStation VR is separate to PlayStation?
Do I feel like it was set to PlayStation?
No. Do you feel like, for me, the PlayStation VR is kind of a different ecosystem to the PlayStation system?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, for me personally, when I read about all the stuff I read, all the content I read, I interview VR developers, and it occurred one day that we was asking about a release date for a certain game, and they basically said Sony told them this big PS4 game was coming out, so not to release it then. This other big PS4 game was coming out the next week, don't release it then. And I was like, yeah, but I was never going to buy those PS4 games. Like, for me, that PlayStation VR library and that gaming is separate. You know, it's different. It's, you know, PlayStation VR and PlayStation 4 for me are separate entities.
I would agree. And then I feel that, like, maybe especially throughout 2016 and, probably a good chunk of 2017, I probably feel like a lot of the games that were coming out for the PlayStation VR, I felt like they were, cheap, rinky-dink, tech demos with the purpose of just filling the library and giving people content. But now I think they're getting ready to move to the next level and give us quality content, with games like Iron Man. So I think
yeah.
So I think they're going to give us quality content, and then don't forget Blood and Truth. That's another game I'm absolutely excited for. So on the PlayStation side, you've got Iron Man and Blood and Truth, two huge titles coming up this year to me, and I think Sony, I think that's going to be their mission, is to bring us those type of experiences and not just throw games out there just to throw them out there.
Yeah, man. Like, I think obviously people are looking at selling numbers. They want to see what is popular. I mean, the one thing I've seen on PC VR is more indie stuff, more than PlayStation VR. I know we get some indie games, but on PC VR there is a ton. And, I've interviewed some developers, and I interviewed Anna Ribeiro in particular, which went on to make Pixel Ripped. That is an indie game. That was an indie game that was put on Oculus. I mean, Oculus have done incredible things with VR. If anyone thinks, like, I'm not sure VR would be where Oculus has been either. It would be where it is if Oculus hadn't done the steps they've done. Most developers I speak to experienced VR first in Oculus. I think consumers experienced VR in PlayStation. I think there's a big difference. So I think hand in hand, I think they're both important. You know, anyone I know who's got a PlayStation VR, I would absolutely say, please try PC VR. You know, I know it's expensive, but like most things, man, if you're an enthusiast of a particular technology, or for example, my uncle, he loved remote control cars. We both had the same remote control car roughly. And then a month later, he spent a load of money on like a petrol, super fast remote control car with tires and upgrades and extras and spares. And that's what happens. People find something they enjoy and they want to invest in it. And for me, that was what virtual reality was. That was the same. So I don't know, man. I'm just like, it's all so good. It's all so good. The way everything is going is just positive across the board.
Definitely, and I think next generation and this generation too. I think Oculus and Sony are going to be the front runners to bring us those bigger experiences, those bigger high budget premium experiences. We know that Sony's definitely going to do it, and I think this Star Wars, this Vader Immortal looks like a quality game too. It doesn't look like a game that costs $3 on Steam. It definitely looks like a quality game.
Absolutely, man. And like our man Christopher Hart is saying in the chat, Sony is just letting us know that real full-length gaming VR is on its way by showing us No Man's Sky and Iron Man VR. So without knowing what sort of game Iron Man VR will be, how long it's going to be, No Man's Sky, yeah, absolutely, dude. Like people can put their money behind that straight away for virtual reality.
No question, and I wouldn't even doubt that if they have I wouldn't doubt if No Man's Sky gets the VR Game of the Year award.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's on PC VR and PlayStation VR. I'm interested to experience both to see, because I mean, I've heard that No Man's Sky will have the rudder support, so that's another reason I'm very interested in that, because certain games do feel really good using the 3D rudder. So yeah, I just want to experience it on both. But I'd love to see the selling numbers of No Man's Sky copies recently, because everywhere I look, people have picked up the game so cheap recently. Everyone is buying No Man's Sky.
Oh, I bought 2 copies. I bought it for the PlayStation. I bought it for the PlayStation, and I bought it on Steam. Now I did pay $30 for it on Steam because I was telling everybody, I did a podcast and letting everybody know that if you want No Man's Sky, you better get it now, because as we get closer to that VR update, the price is going to keep going up on that game. Because I was also explaining to people that publishers like Bethesda, they are double dipping, because take Skyrim for instance. They sold that game for $59.99 when it first came out, the flat screen version of the game. It is an old game now, but it still sells for roughly $30. And then they introduced the VR version of Skyrim, and that's selling for $60. So, why wouldn't the developers of No Man's Sky do something like that? Even though it's going to be a free update, but the price of that game is going to go up as we get closer to that release date. So I was urging people, if you want the game, go get it now.
Man, look at the Move controllers. Like, I picked them. I mean, as you know, they are, how old are they? They must be coming up for 8-9 years old as technology goes. I'm not 100%, but I know they're really old. And I had the Move controllers and the navigation controller, and I bought all that stuff on the PlayStation 3. And I picked them up secondhand for £5 each. You know, because... Well, yeah, because as I said, I played PlayStation VR 6 months before it released. So I experienced Rigs, Battlezone. What else did I experience? The London Heist, that was incredible, dude. Like, the demo they had then was when you're in the van going down the right. That was mind-blowing. And as soon as I left there, the next day I went uptown, went to my local second-hand shop, and there they were, £5 each. I was like, yep, yeah, they're going to be expensive.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
So my next question is, we know that Google Stadia is coming out this year. That's their streaming platform, and this is probably going to be the biggest competitor to Microsoft and the xCloud. Do you think that that Google would bring VR to the Stadia platform, and do you think that VR cloud gaming can work?
It can. Obviously, I can't see why it wouldn't work. I'm not sure how much information it would have to pump. Because over in the UK, our broadband in places isn't great, and that's why certain things, streaming services over here, aren't particularly popular in general. From what I've seen and when I've spoken to people in certain forums, it does die quite quickly. We had one called OnLive. I'm sure you probably had it in the States as well. Do you remember OnLive streaming?
No, yeah, without a doubt. I was actually going to jump on board with that because supposedly it didn't require a very fast internet, and you could play it from any device because they had basically an adapter that you could connect it to any display, even a TV that was like 50 years old. You could still hook it up to that.
Nice, man. Well, over here it didn't work too well for me personally, and I ended up trading it back in. So we was asking, I think VR streaming will happen one day. I really do, absolutely. I think you're going to have 10G one day, and everything's going to be like a holodeck. I don't know, but will it? That Stadia, man. I don't know. I mean, I was looking at that. I've heard no feedback about VR. I haven't even heard the words Stadia and VR mentioned together until right now. But I did watch the presentation, and I do think it's a very smart move to be able to, because it's integrated with YouTube as well, isn't it? So you could be watching something on YouTube, and then you click play. You'll be looking at a video of a game or a trailer even, or watching your favorite streamer play that game and go, yeah, I fancy a go at that. Click play, bang, and you're playing it. That, for me, was incredible. I thought that was amazing.
No question about that. Before we go any further, I have to acknowledge Emi Khan, who's in the chat. He is a fellow European. He was also one of my first subs. So glad that you dropped by to say hello, Emi Khan. I really appreciate it. And I definitely remember that you were one of my first subs, no question about it. And you were definitely one of the people who, consistently, was in the comment section whenever I put out videos. I could pretty much count on a comment from you. I definitely appreciate it. And I also just wanted to let you know before you take off, make sure that your Twitter account is in. Make sure your Twitter account is good, and make sure you have PayPal. And stay tuned for my giveaways. I'll be giving away some stuff later on today or tomorrow. I'll be giving away some money. That's where you're going to need the PayPal. And make sure you got your Twitter together, because I'll be giving away games, and now I'll probably have to award the prizes by way of giving codes through Twitter. So make sure you got all that stuff together.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That is awesome.
That's a big thank you for everybody who helped make this channel where it's at. I can't thank them enough, because I definitely love this. This is a passion, and I definitely enjoy interacting with everybody who comes by these podcasts. No question about that. So I got two more questions left. The Epic Store. The Epic Store has made a big wave on the PC landscape. It's got a lot of people up in arms, by the tactics of signing some of these games to timed exclusivity contracts. Do you see them doing something like that on the VR format? Do you see them making a big splash on the VR format? I haven't been to the Epic Store, so I don't know if they have VR games there or not.
Well, I can look right now. I don't think there is any VR content on there currently, but I will have a quick look for you.
VR being the way of the future, I think that's something where they can't ignore it. They're going to have to get on board with it. So if that's the case, if they should decide to get on board with VR, do you think they would pull the same tactics that they're doing with these flat screen games and hugely anticipated titles? Do you think they would go out of their way to get timed exclusivity contracts with these games?
I think if there's money to be made, at the moment, whenever you speak to developers, they'll let you know that most of the time they are funded. Like they'll take an idea to Sony, and Sony will say, yeah, this is going to be a good game, here's some cash. Or what did we have recently? Unreal give grants to people. There's to make a virtual reality game of a good quality, as what you were saying earlier, AAA quality. They need backing, because there is a chance that game will go under the radar. There is a chance that no one will buy it, and there's still. So, will Epic do it? Yeah, I think they will one day. I'm just looking on now. I've just typed in VR, and there's something called the NVIDIA VR Funhouse. I've no idea what it is. It says, step right up to the VR Funhouse mods, download VR Funhouse mod kit, create your own mods, share them with the world. Dude, I've never seen this before. I've never heard of it, and it's free. So, and it looks pretty good. It says you can get it on Steam, but you can download it from the Epic Store. So there is one virtual reality game on the Epic Store done by Nvidia. So will it happen? Yes, it will.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happen, that they're going to expand that VR library. Again, VR is growing so much to the point where they cannot ignore it. And, and I think, the Epic Store is becoming a major player in on the gaming landscape due to the ton of money that they made off of the Fortnite and the Unreal Engine. So I think that's very well possible, as to what you were saying, that if they see a game that they think has amazing potential, that they could probably back it and give it, triple A treatment.
Yeah, saying that, I think Epic made Robo Recall?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And it's probably a good thing that we have it now, because if they would have made that game after, if they would have made that game after they launched the Epic Store, then there's no doubt in my mind that Robo Recall would probably be a Epic Store exclusive. That is, unless Oculus funded this game and retained the rights to it.
Yeah, so on the Unreal Store, or the Epic Store, sorry, on the Epic Store, you can download the mod kit for Robo Recall. It also gives you a link to download the game for free on Oculus Store. So yeah, man. And for me, Robo Recall is still one of the finest wave shooter experiences you can get in virtuality. It's absolutely, that's another game when we was talking about not many games look current gen in virtuality. That is one of them.
No question. That's also Robo Recall definitely ranks in the top 5 of some of the best looking VR games that I've ever seen. When I tried the demo at Best Buy and I saw those hands, I was like, I was absolutely amazed by how detailed it was. I was amazed by being able to walk around inside the game and not see a bunch of background blur. So yeah, that's definitely the game that I got a sample of at Best Buy that made me say, wow.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. It still does, man. I think I streamed it last week or earlier this week, just because sometimes I just feel like streaming a game. It might not get any publicity, or maybe no one's heard of it, or or everyone's heard of it. I just sometimes feel like playing a game, and I could play Robo Recall all the time. It's an amazing game. It's so fun. It's so much fun. It feels like you're in a current gen comic book as well, with the all the words flashing up and all the stuff you can do. The one thing I'd love to see come to PlayStation. Do you remember PlayStation Home? Was it PlayStation Home we had?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, with Oculus Home, I think that's amazing. The fact that you can store all your digital content there, like cartridges and boxes, and visit each other's homes as well.
You can do that in Oculus?
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got Oculus Home.
But I could come to your place on the Oculus Home and view your apartment?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we could have sat in the same room and streamed this.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that. But what we have been able to stream it to YouTube is a better question.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it'd just be like any other stream. It'd just be like any streaming a game. It'd just be you and me just chatting away, like you have your own avatar. And yeah, dude, I've got seats, I've got tables, I've got an 8-foot Legend of Zelda. I've got Link in the corner. It's random.
Oh, that's something you're gonna have to help me with, because I still have the standard Oculus Home. I haven't done anything. I haven't put anything on a wall. I haven't put any new tables in there. I haven't done anything. The only thing I've done in the Oculus Home was I went to the mirror, saw what my avatar looked like, and then customized that. That's all I have done. I had no idea that I could visit your home on the Oculus Home, because I know that you could do that on the PlayStation Home. That was amazing. And they grew that thing so much. I mean, they added so much content there, where there was a giant mall and there was like shoe stores in there, clothing stores in there.
Yeah.
There was a bowling alley in there, a theater in there. You could play chess. There was an arcade in that mall. And then once you go outside of the mall, there were amusement parks that you could go to. And that was absolutely amazing. And if we could get something like that in VR, that would just absolutely be incredible.
Yeah, man, and that's why I'm a backer of Oculus, because they push You know, they push stuff out there, and you know, they are the lesser number at the moment. You know, they've got less headsets sold than PlayStation. You know, and people have to go out and buy a PC to experience what they're doing. But they must. I don't know how much Facebook must lose money on certain things like Oculus Home, because it's so well made, you know, and like every day, the more time you spend in it, you get gifts and all these different things. And I think, oh man, I'd love. When it was weird when I first got it, I just remember thinking, I really want all my PlayStation VR people to see this because it's very special. But then at the same time, I was sort of thinking, you've still got that those people who are like, no, PlayStation VR is the only good thing. It's the only thing I'm interested in. So, you know, I didn't want to cause a divide. I mean, you know, I did see a subscriber count drop, first of all, when I first started covering PC VR, because some people don't want to see what's out there. They'd rather not know about it, you know. You'd rather not know there's something different, better, or stranger, because then you might want it. So I get that, you know, I do get it. No one wants to be in their rubbish car and have someone come up with their nice car and go, oh, your car's rubbish. You know what I mean? You know, but we all experience it, you know. I see loads of nice cars. So yeah, man, I just and you know, and I would love for, and same again, I'd love for people on Oculus to see some of the PlayStation VR exclusive we have. Resident Evil 7, absolutely amazing. Astrobot, yeah, has got to be the best platformer in virtual reality. No two ways about it, you know. And yeah, I wish the two would combine into one headset, but unfortunately, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, without question. I want to acknowledge a couple of people before we move on to the last question. I want to acknowledge Fatal Sharad. He's a good friend of mine. PLO, he's a regular in the comments. Hey, how you doing, PLO? And Emmy Khan said he'll be picking up a VR in August. I look forward to you joining the VR community. You are going to go in a totally different world. If VR catches you if you catch on to it the way I caught on to it, even with me having to get through the motion sickness at the beginning, if you catch on to that, you're going to go into a different world and you may not go back to flat screen gaming. If you do, it's going to be in limited dosages.
Yeah, man. Like personally, dude, my eyes were ruined. Like I was using eye drops because I played. As soon as I was in the house alone, I was in VR for like 4 days constantly.
You know, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this question before we go on to the last question. How do you do with horror games?
I love horror games. I absolutely love it. They scare the crap out of me, dude. Like literally, they scare the crap out of me. The beginning of Rush of Blood, the same bit. I know what's going to happen. I know there's going to be this monster that jumps out. And just before it gets to you, it gets whipped back. Like something grabs it by the neck and pulls it back. That made me jump every single bloody time. Every single time I started that game up, it would make me jump.
You know, Rush of Blood, it scared me, but not so much because I had guns. So I could shoot anything that would come at me. It was games like Resident Evil that scared me because there were times where I was attacked in the game that didn't have any weapons. So Resident Evil definitely scared me. I have the inpatient. I haven't even bothered to pop that in because yes, I'm a chicken shit when it comes to horror games.
Do you know what, man? Do you know what? Right? What was that last game? The Inpatient, right? Mm-hmm. That game is actually quite funny because when you're in VR, you've got these massive arms, right? Massive hands, and they just hit things all the time. It's really funny, and I really had a good stream. But there is a couple of moments in The Inpatient that are absolutely terrifying. You know, there's probably only a few, but dude, they are massive. They are massive jump scares, you know. And Resident Evil, funny enough, was the game where I realized how intense VR horror could be, because I played loads of horror games. I played Resident Evil back in the day. I remember playing it when me and my friend rented Resident Evil 1 on the PlayStation, and you know, we was probably smoking some stuff we shouldn't. And when the dogs jumped in through the window, he left my house. He went home. he couldn't handle it, man. He couldn't handle how intense it was. And I was just like, yeah, I'm scared, but I'm loving it. Like I love the way that a game can give you that emotional feeling. And I think that's really important. I think virtual reality takes that to that next level. And Resident Evil, anyway, I remember playing that game so like a secret agent. I was always very cautious, trying to be quiet, trying not to get caught. As soon as I got the shotgun, dude, I felt tough. I felt like the man. I was walking around, I was like, yeah, whatever, man. I've never had a weapon in a game make me change. I felt safe. I felt safer. And that's something I'd never experienced till that point.
Exactly. Another game that had me scared was the Weeping Doll. You know, I was moving through the house and there was like so much noise going on, chains dangling, and these noise would come from a certain room, and I would go to that room and there would be nothing in there. And so I was like, I quit the game because I said something is going to jump out that is going to scare the crap out of me. I don't want to deal with it. So I stopped and I haven't gone back since. But, you know, I'm going to have to, sooner or later, I'm going to have to grow a pair and go back into those games.
Dude, I'm not being horrible, but don't waste your time on Weeping Doll. That's a terrible game.
Oh, really? Okay. I'll definitely have to go back to Resident Evil. Because I think, you know what, I'm thinking some VR gamers probably don't realize how lucky we were to get Resident Evil, because you know, there's not too many AAA games out there that is fully playable in VR, and Resident Evil is one of them, you know, and Bethesda has done it with Fallout 4 in VR and Skyrim in VR. But we're talking about games that provide hours of content, fully playable in VR, you know, and you know how short a lot of these VR games are. And that's another reason why I think, you know, No Man's Sky is going to be such a hit with all the content that's in that game to be fully playable in VRs. I think it's going to provide hours, days, weeks, months of entertainment.
Yes, absolutely. If I could give you one suggestion for a stream, for a game, I'd love to see you play Paranormal Activity.
Whoa.
That was one game, dude, right? I hadn't been streaming long, and you know, because whether people are watching, I didn't know in VR. You don't know till someone comments, and in the early days, you know, sometimes people never saw. You know, people would jump in and jump out again because or whatever reason. But I remember playing that game, and I was so hoping someone would watch the stream so they could chat to me and make me feel safer. That's how scared I was playing that game for the first time.
I will say that if I, you know, I'll give it a shot. I can't say when. I got to work up the nerves. But I will give it a shot. And when I do it, I'm definitely going to do it on the PlayStation VR. So yes, just like you said, they can be in there with me, and I can see the comments and that kind of stuff. And the crazy part about it is, when something's coming at you in VR, all you have to do is close your eyes. But you know, those earbuds that come with the games, the sound is so immersive. That adds to the immersion.
That is something that is one of the best bits about virtual reality, is that 360-degree sound. You know, like I'll never forget, as once again the first time in PlayStation VR Worlds where you take the phone off the guy and it's in the correct headset. You know, you have it to your right ear and you're like, wow, I really feel like I'm holding a mobile phone. And then you get the little headset that you need to talk to you on, and you put it in your left ear and it talks in your left ear. Little things like that. And in horror, it works amazingly well.
Without a doubt. Emmy-Con, I have Project Cars 2 in VR. I have played it in VR, and it is very immersive. It is very, very fun. You know, so I would recommend that you try to find the game through G2A or something like that to avoid paying that $60 on Steam. I ended up getting it for about $23 or something like that on G2A. So definitely check that out if you want to get that.
Yeah, man. I was just going to say, I recently went to a game show, EGX in London, and they had Project Cars Pro in VR. So the Pro version apparently isn't for retail. It's just for car companies to either test a real car in virtual reality.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. And they had a racing rig on there, and it was £50,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Emicon, I also want to inform you that you're asking me how is VR when you wear glasses. That is where I would recommend the PlayStation VR. Not only that, Impatient Fire says that you can use an app called Trennis, and that will allow you to use your PlayStation VR on the PC. So you would be able to play those Steam games using your PSVR headset. And I think out of all the headsets, the PlayStation VR is the most friendly when it comes to wearing glasses.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. Personally, I don't wear glasses, but that's the one thing that I heard about PlayStation VR, and that's the other thing that is why the Rift S is also important, because we just spoke earlier, Lenovo have got the patent from Sony, therefore it's very similar to the PlayStation VR. It even slides in and out. I mean, that's an amazing thing, because the Rift, for me, I have to lift it up over my head and slide it back on. I love the fact you can just slide the PlayStation forward, so you can see again. And yeah, so you can use glass with the Rift S as well.
Yeah, not only that, and then the rubber boot that covers the PlayStation VR headset also makes it friendly for glasses too, as well.
Yeah.
So moving on to the last question, we know that VR has started out as an expensive hobby, and Sony has made VR affordable now, and now the Oculus Quest has the potential to break into the mainstream. But now, augmented reality is the hobby right now that is super expensive, that it's so expensive that the average household can't afford it. How long do you think it'll be before augmented reality is where VR is right now, where this thing is on the cusp of becoming mainstream?
Are you talking about HoloLens? I think that comes in
I
at
don't know
about
any of that stuff.
£3,000.
With augmented reality, mixed reality, whatever. I know that they're both expensive, and because of how expensive they are, I have done no research whatsoever. So that is definitely where I'm seeking your expertise and asking you where either of those platforms, how long you think before they become affordable.
The one I thought which was going to hit people was Google Glass. I thought that was going to be amazing. I really, and maybe it was just a bit too ahead of its time. But the one thing, the HoloLens, which looks incredible. I've seen, I don't know if you've seen some demos of that where they use Minecraft. And if you follow some people on Twitter, you'll see them using augmented reality all the time. And if you've got a 3DS at home, a Nintendo 3DS, that's got augmented reality as well. You get some QR cards in the case, and you put them basically on a desk or something, and the desk will turn into a volcano or a game that flies around the house. And there's all these things that happen with Nintendo 3DS. Augmented reality is already sort of in some people's hands. It's incredible, and I don't know how long it would take to become something for every home. But going by the HoloLens, I'm sure, without checking, I'm sure it is a crazily expensive piece of kit, and it's more for developers to not necessarily make games. It's for more important tasks. So I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know. I mean, that's why a lot of people are, not a lot of people, but some people have sort of questioned, what is that gap for in the Valve headset? Is that for some sort of augmented reality add-on that's right in the front of the headset? I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. Just to go to your comments. Impatient Fire says Nintendo Labo VR is a flop.
Yes, I wanted to respond to that. I don't know how it's doing in Japan, but I think it has a great chance here in North America, because I think whatever numbers are going on right now, I think those numbers are going to greatly change once the Mario and the Breath of the Wild updates come out. And again, I think if they bring the Pokemon Go or any of these Pokemon games to the Labo VR, I think that's going to be a game changer for them. So, PlayStation VR got off to a very slow start too. So, so it's not, so.
Dude, it's only been out.
Yeah.
And it's sold out in America, I believe, on Amazon.
The media I thought was pretty biased towards the PlayStation VR. It got off to a very slow start. I even admit that I nearly sold my PlayStation VR, but I toughed it out, and now I can't get enough of it. So now, in 2 short years, we went from You know, VR being a niche and how they think that the PlayStation VR isn't going to do very well. Complaints about motion sickness and all this kind of stuff. Now here we are. Uh, Everybody is on the verge of saying that VR is the future of gaming. So definitely, I would definitely say with the Labo VR, give it some time.
Give it some time, and just let you all know, I have done some videos on it. I bought the starter kit, which is £35. You get a blaster, you get 64 mini games. Obviously, you've then got the blaster game itself, which is multiple games. You've then got the Mario VR, which is going to be a free update. You've got the Zelda, the whole game, Breath of the Wild, as a free update as well. I thought it was good, and I was enjoying it, and I do understand what these people are saying. Absolutely, cardboard is lame. If you haven't experienced VR, if someone hasn't experienced VR, cardboard is actually pretty good. If you look at it from maybe if you're a VR user already, most people tend to feel what you're saying. But for a new adopter, for £35, my daughter absolutely loved it. Like, she was in my spinny chair playing it all the time, and it was only at that point did I think, wow, Nintendo have got a really good thing here, because the age is 7 years old. It's not 12 years old, it's 7 years old. So you combine that, it's cheap, it's accessible, it's fun, because I mean, half the fun of that of Nintendo Labo VR isn't even using it. You know, people are having fun with it before they've even used it, because they're building part of the kits. And you can't deny, even with Lego, that's part of the fun. People want to just build stuff and get an end product. So I wouldn't dismiss Nintendo Labo VR. It's only been out a week. I think Nintendo, you know, dipping their toes in the VR pool is a great thing. Me personally, I wanted to back it and see how it was. If it was rubbish, I would tell you it was rubbish. Do I think it's good? I think it's the cheapest, best cardboard virtual reality experience you can buy, because the software is by Nintendo, and Nintendo make fantastic games.
And I'm definitely curious about it. I mean, I would have picked up the Labo VR last week, but my son wasn't interested in it. You know, he likes VR, and he absolutely fell in love with Blade and Sorcery. So I want to thank you for suggesting that game to me. Oh yeah, that's a fun game. I did a stream on it a couple of days ago. I was having fun with it, throwing them off the ledge. That was pretty funny.
Man, did you get a sweat on playing it?
A little bit, but
Yeah.
my son, he got a huge sweat playing it, because you know, because he was going through wave after wave after wave, and you know, and my son's weapon of choice is using 2 spears. And jabbing 2 holes in people as they approach him. So he definitely liked it. It's definitely a fun game. That's another game that I would absolutely love to see that game get a player versus player update.
Yeah, dude. And once again, I mean, I still think Blade and Sorcery, I think that game's only £15 over here, which is very cheap. PSVR games seem to cost a lot more. There seems to be almost nearly £10 put on most price tags in that region for a game that's been on PCVR to come to PSVR. For £15, that was amazing. I didn't know anything about Blade and Sorcery. I'd seen some videos on the internet, but I didn't know it's just a wave killing game. There's no story. It is just a wave killer. And it's still under development. There's still even now, there's still, and I think they made a lot of money. I'm pretty sure they sold a lot of copies, and that's probably due to social media.
I wasn't aware of that. I mean, because if you hadn't told me about Blade and Sorcery, I wouldn't have known about it. Especially, you know, at the Steam store, there are so many games at the Steam store. You know, you've got hundreds of pages of games to sort through, and I might see a game today. And then when I close the Steam app and then come back to it again, that game is gone. You know, not gone in the sense that it's been removed from the store. Gone in the sense that there's so many games that if I don't remember the title of the game, it's not going to show up. It's not going to show up in the first couple of pages, because you know how random that is.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, there is a ton of crazy virtuality stuff on there, and I think I was speaking to someone the other day. One of the weirdest ones that I'd ever seen on the store was that you could basically slide down an oiled slide and look up a anime girl skirt. I was like, you'd never see that on PlayStation.
No, but I have seen worse than that.
I
are you familiar with a YouTuber named Mr. 4K Upscaler?
I am.
He did it. You know, he does Oculus streams every now and then, as well as PlayStation VR streams, and he streamed an experience called VR Paradise where he was in a strip club. And
Right.
you know, you have two girls on the stage, you know, dancing on the poles and stuff, and then you can get, you know, private dances, but that's where the microtransaction crap comes in, because you have to, you know, you have to pay real money for the private sessions in the
no way,
yeah.
no way.
There, you know, there is the girls do go topless in there on the game. You know, just the free to play experience, they do go topless. So the girls that are dancing on the stage, those ones do take their tops off. But I guess if you want like a private session with full nudity and that kind of stuff, then yeah, you got to pay for the private sessions. I think the game is I think it's extremely detailed to be a VR experience. And then I was going through some of the other adult games that was in there, and there was some VR games in there that was like showing like full blown sex in there.
Oh my God.
Penetration and everything. So I was like, oh my God, I didn't know this kind of stuff was out there.
No, I didn't. You know, I haven't seen all that stuff you're talking about, man. As I said, the slide one was the weirdest for me, dude. Like, I was just like, that is so perverted. That is that's more perverted than going in a strip club, because we've all been in a strip club. So like, no, I don't. I've never thought about running down an oiled slide, trying to look up a girl's skirt. Like, what the hell? And yeah, man. And it was unlike what it was like $1, $2. This game. It was so cheap, but there's no way that I'd ever buy that. But it was just weird that it was there. It was just there. So, I mean, did you hear about that story on Steam about that? I hope I don't offend that rape game that come out. And
I had heard something about that, and I heard it was met with a whole lot of backlash. And didn't they remove it?
They did, yeah. And I'm very, very, very glad they did. Yeah, crazy.
A rape game in VR.
I don't know if it's virtuality. I don't think it was VR. If it was,
okay,
man, like,
okay, but I did remember hearing about a rape game on Steam. I was like, unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable. Oh, hold on. What's this? Impatient Fire. Oh, Dead or Alive. Is that the one that was the volleyball? Was that the volleyball? On PS4 has anime upskirts, dude. Like, oh man, crazy stuff. I still remember that, man. Dead or Alive beach volleyball. I bought that, and I didn't realize it was just a pure perverted game. There was no game to it at all. It was just for perverts.
You know something that I did in Lone Echo? You know how you're working with Olivia?
Yeah.
Well, because the game is very interactive, so just to see what would happen, I reached to her and put my hand on her face, and she knocked my hand out of the way. And then there was another.
Really?
Yeah, if you reach and put your hand on her face, you know, she'll let you touch her for a second, and then she'll knock your hand out of the way. And then there was another episode in the game where we had to move around and like fix all the problems that was going on within the station. And I think we were going into this one area where we had to put all the cargo back in their magnetic holds. So as I'm following her through this chamber, I put my hand on her ass, and she knocked my hand off of her ass.
I did that as well, man. I did that as well. I was, because if no one's played Lone Echo, it's a space game, a zero gravity game. So you basically propel yourself to move. And yeah, I'd basically gone so fast forward I couldn't stop, and I had to use her butt to stop.
That is funny, but that is amazing at the same time.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, because the one time when I touched her face, you know, not only did she knock my hand out of the way, she turned her head in the other direction as she was doing it.
Wow, man. She looks a bit like Sharon Stone as well, doesn't she? A little bit.
Yeah. I mean, she does. She does look like she needs a man on that space station.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. So with that being said, that's all I got for questions. If you got anything else you want to add before we shut it down, now would be a good time.
Oh, dude, man, it's just been amazing being here, man. Thank you ever so much. Congratulations on your 500 subscriber count, and I'm sure that's going to grow steady, man. Like, I love your podcasts, and whenever I get a chance, I always listen to them. To be fair, I always like a podcast driving. Funny enough, when I go places, I just like putting them on and listening to them while I drive. So yeah, congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, and I do the same thing too. I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm driving. I listen to podcasts. I listen to them every day while I'm at work because it helps the day go by.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
But I do have one request. I'd like to do this again, but I'd like you to host it and show me how to do it where I come to your Oculus home and we do it from your Oculus home.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, no worries, man. Of course.
So we definitely got to set that up because I've seen something like that VR roundtable. I've seen that a couple of times, and I think that's absolutely cool. So I would love for us to do something like that from your Oculus home. You show me how that works, and then maybe in the future that will be the next level that I move to, where I hold live chats from the Oculus home and invite VR guests there.
That's why I do my developer report in Rec Room, because I think there's nothing cooler than talking about VR in VR. That sets a different tone for me. And whenever developers do this and they come into virtual reality, they are amazed. Most of the time they want to hang around. Oh, we could do it in Rec Room. We could do it in Oculus Home. There's places out there. For me, Rec Room is a fantastic hub anyway for socialization in general, because as far as I know, virtual reality is quite hard to do multiplayer, but Rec Room, you can have 18 players playing a game. And that's why we do the developer chat in there, because we'll have me as like the host sort of thing, and then we'll have like 9 or 10 of the community guys there. And it's just great. It's really good fun. And, you got Skype, you got other bits, but if you can interact with someone in Rec Room, it's the next level.
Definitely. I've been in the Rec Room a few times. I've seen it get toxic in there a couple of times, but yes, that's something to consider too. Walk around and ask, different people, different things, that kind of stuff. That would be cool too. But but first things first, I definitely want to do a stream from your Oculus home, and I think that would be so cool. Hey, you put a bunch of questions together to ask me. We could do it like a couch session, in your Oculus home. I think that'd be so cool.
Yeah, man, that'd be great. Just want to give a quick shout out to everyone in chat. Thank you for joining us today. But DJ 1984, I don't know if it was the Sunday just gone. We held him a birthday party in Rec Room.
That's so cool. We follow each other today on Twitter. I don't get a ton of notifications when it comes to subs, so I don't know how long he's been a sub to my channel, but I definitely appreciate you being here, without a doubt. That birthday party sounds so cool.
It was so funny, man. We had like birthday cake, we had balloons, I was a DJ, and the only thing was, right, I didn't know. So I was just basically playing music from my phone through to the headset, yeah? But I touched the decks in the room, and what's that song? Never Gonna Give You Up. Never Gonna Let You. Dude, that was on repeat constantly. It gave me, it made me go out of my mind, dude. We had to get out of there because it wouldn't stop. It was crazy. It drove us nearly all insane. So it was a great party, man. It was a great party. What you got?
I would have loved to have been there. I think the closest thing I've seen to something like that, I'm not quite sure. I do know that like my son has discovered Roblox in VR, and I think he had a couple of moments where they do like a club thing inside of Roblox. Where there's a DJ and people are just walking around in there, just talking on the text chat and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's pretty cool too. So I mean, I was shocked when my son found that Roblox in VR because with that being an old game, I'm surprised it had VR support.
Yeah, I didn't know it had VR support. Thank you to Thomas for pointing out it was Rick Astley. He's absolutely right. And I have been to a rave in Rec Room.
No question about that. My son also found Minecraft in VR as well too. Both of them are free.
Yeah, man. Lincoln, I'll have to add you on Rec Room. And as I said, man, there's actual real raves in Rec Room. And dude, like I've gone downstairs in my shorts, put my headset on, and I'm dancing, man, for like an hour in Rec Room.
Oh, that'll be cool.
It is cool. It's really cool.
With it being a free-to-play game, I've got it on both the Oculus and the PlayStation. Well, like the Rec Room, I downloaded it more or less for my son, so he could move around and interact with people and play some of the mini games in there, stuff like that. But I will definitely jump into the Rec Room.
It felt like as close. It felt like, as I said before, man, we're in the SNES days. It felt like the NES version of Ready Player One. Walking into a room with like, I don't know how many people there, maybe 20 or 30 other people all dancing, and there was a DJ up the top playing this music. It was so surreal, dude. Like I'll never forget it, put it that way.
Oh, that is cool. So I'm definitely and I definitely plan on getting some more VR gaming in tonight.
Yeah,
with that being said, it'll be time for me to get ready to wrap it up here because I got to head out in about 20 minutes to go pick up my son. I've got about a 45-minute drive ahead of me to go pick him up. But when I get back, there's no question about it. I'm going to jump on something, Oculus, PSVR something, and do another stream. And then depending on how things go, I will plan on doing another podcast later on today where I do the giveaways.
Dude, that sounds absolutely amazing for your viewers. Thank you ever so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone in the chat, whoever watches this later. Thank you. And yeah, man, remember hit that like button for your boy, yeah?
Without a doubt, I definitely appreciate it. I appreciate everybody coming by. I definitely know everybody that came here definitely have to be a fan of VR or at the very least is curious about it. So I definitely appreciate it. You guys know the deal. Give it a like, share, comment, all that kind of good stuff. And I definitely want to thank my guest Gamertag VR for coming by. This has been an awesome podcast, and I can't wait for us to do that again from his Oculus home. So make sure I'll keep everybody informed on that. So definitely make sure you check that out when we do that. And with that being said, if you want to go ahead and shout yourself out to everybody, Gamertag, we'll get ready to wrap it up.
Okay, man. Yeah, if you're looking for virtual reality content on PSVR or PC VR, I'm probably do videos daily, and we have like a developer report and stuff. So if you're looking for somewhere like that, then feel free to subscribe. Thank you ever so much for that opportunity. I don't like plugging myself. I feel nervous plugging myself, man. But thank you.
No, not at all. I mean, like especially when it comes to the VR, we are all a huge community, and we all have to support each other.
Yeah, you're a good. Lincoln, you are fantastic. Thank you.
Without a doubt, I definitely appreciate it. So to everybody else, again, keep an eye out for my content, whatever I should decide to do later on today, and again, give it a like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And I want to thank everybody for hanging around, checking out the show, and we will catch you all later. You all have a good one.
Take care, guys. Thank you.